In this presentation, we're going to create accounts receivable and accounts payable graphs from information that we're going to get from the accounting software. Let's zoom into it with Xero. Here we are in our Xero demo company dashboard. Let's first start off by opening up our balance sheet. So we're going to go to the accounting dropdown. We're going to go down to the balance sheet in order to open up the balance sheet once again. When that opens up, we're then going to be right-clicking on the tab up top so that we can duplicate that tab, then going on down to the duplication to make another tab for it. Want to just show how we can take some of this data and make some common kind of charts that we could use to put into our demonstrations. And we're going to use that by taking the data, common types of data, and using Excel, or you could use Google Sheets in order to generate the charts. So one chart that we might think about is the accounts receivable. We looked at the accounts receivable and the accounts payable recently in prior presentations. And we might want to break out like who owes us the money and think about, who our vendors are that are giving us that money. Or who the major vendors are that owe us, or what is the components of the accounts receivable. We could take a look at that by generating reports and then making graphs for it. Now, you might say that other software, like if you use QuickBooks software, at least the desktop version actually has some graph features built into it, but they're not really like robust type graph features, really. They kind of generate the graph. There's not a whole lot you can do with it. It's probably more beneficial really to take the information, put it into Excel, and just make these graphs. You can make these graphs pretty easily by just taking the data and putting it into some kind of spreadsheet program and then creating the graphs with it. And that's a great way to just kind of think about how you might use the export feature to use the raw data to make other worthwhile information that you could use for presentation. And graphs are a key component of that. So how would we do that then? Let's think about the receivable first. I'm going to go to the accounting dropdown and say, hey, I'd like to break down a little pie chart for the receivable by who owes us the money. So we're going to say, all right, let's go to the accounting dropdown and go down to the reports. And then we're going to go down to the aged receivable summary. Let's open up that aged receivable summary that we took a look at in the past. And let's make this once again as of last year. So I'm going to say the dropdown, I want the end of last fiscal year. I'm going to go ahead and update that. So then all I really want are these totals over here. I'd like to take these totals and just make a nice little chart from them. So I'm just going to export this entire thing to Excel. We already have it in there, but I'm going to export it again just to practice what we would do if we didn't already have it, in Excel. So I'm going to export it to Excel, and I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to try to put it in. I'm going to put it into our other Excel worksheet as well, just so we have it in the data here. So here's our other Excel worksheet. I'm going to put it into here. So I'm just going to open up this data. Going to bring that into our other Excel worksheet where we want to put a new tab with it in there. So here's our aged receivable summary. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that whole thing. I'm going to copy the whole tab just like we have in the past. I'm going to copy that entire thing. Then I'm going to go back to our report. I'm going to add a new tab, and I'm going to call this the AR graph. I'm going to be in A1, right click and paste it. So I'm just going to paste that just like we have in the past. And then we can just say, okay, and I'm just going to manipulate this data. I'm going to bring this back up to 150. And really all I want is this column and this column. So I could see here, there's no formulas in this column. They're just hard-coded numbers, right? So no problem there. This is a formula, but that's fine. So then I'm just going to delete what I don't need. I don't need this. So I'm going to highlight the entire column. I'm going to do this a little bit fast because this isn't an Excel course, but just to give you an idea how you can kind of make some easy graphs. And I think it is easier to do this, just using the data to make graphs in Excel because you can do a lot more with them. So I'm just going to highlight these rows and I'm just going to delete them. Right click, delete the entire thing. And then I'm going to take all from B, I'm highlighting B all the way to F. Don't need those. I'm going to just right click on that selected area, delete that. And there we have it. I'm not even sure we need the total here, but I'll keep the total. I'm going to highlight everything but the total. I'm going to highlight these three cells and then just simply go to insert. And then we're going to go to the insert. I want to insert a chart. So I'm in the charts group. Let's make a good old pie chart with it. Pie chart. And there we have that, and so then we could adjust the pie chart in however we would like to. So we could name the pie chart up top. if we so choose, or maybe we don't need the name because it's going to be on a slide or something like that. I can delete the name. If we want to, we can choose a pie chart that has the percentages in it, such as this. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll choose a pie chart that has the percentages in it. And obviously you have a lot of options that you can basically adjust the pie chart from this point, but it gives you those percentages. And if you want to think about, well, how did the percentages come in place? It's really just going to be this number divided by the total over the total. And then if I take this one over the total, I'm going to F4 the total. So it's an absolute reference, and then I can copy that down. And then if I was to take these and make them a percentage, home tab numbers percent, there are the percentages. If I was to sum these up, there are our percentages. So you could take that and you can and you can put this on a PowerPoint or something like that, or you can just have it in the presentation here. And possibly if you want this in the presentation, but you don't want the data on the right side, but I want to print this out along with the other reports, one method is I could actually just put this information on top of the data. If there's not a whole lot of data, right, I can put it just on top of the data there, and then we could print this out, and it wouldn't be there. Or if I had too much data to do something like that, which is kind of a funny method to do it, we could also just make another tab down here. Like I can make another tab and say this is the data. This is like the graph data, and then this is going to be the actual AR graph. And so then I can take, this information and put it on this side. So there's the actual graph, and then I can make it as large as we want or whatever. And then on this tab, if I don't want this tab to print, you can actually hide the entire tab. Like I can right click on this tab and then just hide it. So then it's like there, but it's hidden. And now I can, when I print this all out, I'm not gonna have to take that page out. I can print all these pages and then still have that one there. To unhide it, I would generally highlight the two tabs that are there, right click and unhide, and that's the one I want. And then you'll bring back the data. Now you may also want this on like a PowerPoint. There's a couple ways you can get it on a PowerPoint. So if you want it on a PowerPoint slide here, you could take the data and put it on the PowerPoint, but maybe you just want to take it like a picture. I could just copy the whole thing. And I don't want to manipulate the data on the PowerPoint, so I'm just going to paste it as a picture, not picking up the data. And so that's one way, you can kind of get your information on there. There it is on there. Now, if you want to put the key somewhere else, you could actually manipulate it on PowerPoint. So I might say, for example, that I want to maybe copy this on another sheet like that, and then I want to cut this possibly so that I can put like the key somewhere else if I don't like where the key is formatted at. And then maybe I want the pie chart because maybe I have it on a black background. So if I was to go to the design, maybe the background, let's imagine, is a black background, like something like that. Then I don't want the information on here, or the backdrop being gray. So I can cut this. Let's say I'm going to cut this over here, and then I'm going to make this. I'm going to be in the picture tools and remove the background, and then I'm going to keep just the numbers I want to keep, and there. So I just want the pie chart, and this is, it's a little sloppy, but so then you can do something like that, and you can make the pie chart, bigger if you wanted, something like that. So there's just a couple ways you can kind of manipulate this and put this information into Excel or a PowerPoint slide here. So then you can do the same thing for the accounts payable. Obviously, if I was to go back to our data and say, well, all right, well, let's do that for accounts payable. Could we do that for accounts payable? Just to do this a little bit more quickly, I'm going to say we want the aged, let's say, payable summary, which is in our favorite reports there. We'll open up the old aged payable summary. Going to make this for the end of last year. So last year, let's update the data. Then I'm just going to export this data. We'll just do the same thing just to play with that again. We'll do it a little bit faster here. I'm going to open that up, although I did it fast last time probably, so I'm probably doing it too fast. But just to get an idea of how you can do this. This isn't an Excel course, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. But there's our data. We can then pick this up. We can copy all that information. I'm going to make a new tab over here, and I'm just going to call this then. I'm going to pull it to the right. I want this on the right. I don't know why it showed up on the left there. I'm going to double click on it and call this the AP graph data. And then I'm going to put that in A1, right click and paste it. And I lost it now. I lost it. So let's go back over and here and copy it. And then go back over here and paste it. And then I'll bring this back up to 150. So there we are at the 150. Gonna delete what we don't need. Don't need column 1. I don't need all these columns on down to here. Gonna right click and delete them. And this is a total column. This is hard coded. So that's all we need is that column. So I don't need this down here. I'm gonna right click and delete that. I'm gonna take all these and delete those, right click and delete those. And then the percentage is going to be this over this and this over this. And if we sum those up, that should add up to 100, right? And I'm going to make them home tab numbers a percentage. And then we're just going to add our chart. So I'm going to insert a chart. I'm going to be in the charts. I'm going to make the old pie chart. There's the old pie chart. Oh, I didn't highlight any numbers. Got to put numbers in it first. I'm going to highlight these two numbers and these two people, and then insert or companies or whoever they are. And then we'll put in the pie chart. There it is. There's the old pie chart. And we'll make this a little bit, I don't need a little smaller like that. All right, not a very interesting pie chart given the lack of data here, but it is what it is. And then I'm going to delete the title up top. And so it could look something like that. Once again, we might want to put that on another tab where I'm going to put, this is the AP graph, and I'll just put the graph over here and not the data. Copy that, put that here. There's our graph. And then, like I said, we could hide this. I can right click and hide this tab. And then when we print this out, it should just pick up the items that aren't hidden as we print it. So we can print that out even though we have the data in between. Now I'm going to unhide. I hid more stuff. I wanted to unhide. Unhide all of it. So let's unhide, unhide, and unhide. Okay. And then you could do another graph, like you could do a bar graph, obviously, as well. So you can insert a bar graph and go back in. Let's say we want one looking like this, or standard kind of bar-ish type graph. And something like that. I'm going to remove the title from it. You could put that as well on the second tab. I'm going to copy that and put that into our graph information over here. See if it fits on a page. We'll do it in some way so it like fits on one page. So I'll put it underneath, and so that fits on a page, and then we can have some impressive graphs in our report. So there we have that. So that's just a couple ways you can do that. You have a lot more options normally if you get that information to Excel to format your graphs in any kind of way you want them to be, and then take them and put them into your PowerPoints in any kind of fashion. You'd like to do that process as well.